Superman is arguably the most powerful superhero to have ever existed, which of course means that he's gotta have one of the most powerful supervillains rogues galleries too. And today we're taking a look at Superman's enemies, ranking each and every one of them from weakest to strongest. So let's get to it. Winslow Schott is the Toy Man, and while he might be a member of Superman's rogues, I think it's fair to say he is at the bottom of the list. I mean, his whole shtick is committing crimes and fighting against supes by using toys. That's never gonna work against literally Superman. Now, he is an absolute genius, a brilliant engineer and robotics expert. But again, your whole thing is making toy-themed weapons, and you're trying to fight Superman. That was never gonna get you too far. John Corbin is a former soldier for the US military, but he volunteered for an experimental program under the direction of General Lane, and his life was forever changed. He became Metallo, a super powerful cyborg robot with a kryptonite heart that was designed to be able to stop Superman. His body's been upgraded countless different times by the likes of Lex Luthor or Cyborg Superman, but on a whole, while he's strong enough to fight against Superman and is tough enough to take all sorts of attacks from Superman too. But the bigger thing going for him is his kryptonite power source. What powers up Metallo is constantly making Superman weaker and weaker, allowing Metallo to eventually get the edge as the fight goes on. Parasite is basically a super-powered leech. He can drain power and life force from everyone around him, has ended up fighting Superman plenty of different times. He's constantly searching out more and more power to absorb, leaving behind just withered and dry corpses in his wake. That's why he's constantly seeking out Superman, because Superman has a bigger energy supply than pretty much anyone on the planet. So it's a whole lot like Metallo. Parasite is constantly getting more and more powerful throughout the fight, while Superman is getting weaker and weaker. Only downside to all of this is that none of the power that Parasite gains is permanent, meaning that he's constantly in a state of near starvation, and a lot like Galactus, is constantly forced to keep on feeding. The son of Darkseid, Kalibak is one of the most powerful new gods on either New Genesis or Apocalypse. In fact, according to Superman, the sons of Darkseid are like power incarnate, and Superman has actually routinely been impressed with just how powerful Kalibak actually is. However, Kalibak is also kinda an idiot and a pushover, and even though he might be super powerful, Superman's never really been too pressed when he's forced to fight him. Fyora is a Kryptonian war criminal who was sent off to the Phantom Zone alongside General Zod. Absolutely cruel to all life around her, Fyora really enjoys fighting and murder, making her the perfect companion on Zod's path of conquest and destruction. Being a Kryptonian, she has all of the same powers as Superman himself. While she might not be quite as powerful as Clark, because she hasn't been under the yellow sun for as long, it's balanced out because she is a ruthless and highly skilled fighter. However, Fyora is still in a class below the true heavy hitters in DC. Both Superman and Wonder Woman have been able to beat her up before. The last son of Krypton from Earth 3, Ultraman is kinda the quintessential opposite of Superman. He's the leader of the crime syndicate instead of the Justice League. His powers actually come from kryptonite, and he gets depowered from the sun. Oh yeah, he is absolutely evil. It's basically what would happen if Superman decided to become Homelander and just kill anyone in his way. But Superman has still been able to beat him pretty much every time that they fought. Lex Luthor is absolutely Superman's arch nemesis and his main enemy. It's just that he's not Superman's most powerful villain. That's because Lex is just a normal human, and he's proud of it too. But still, Lex is arguably the smartest man in the world. He's maybe the richest man in the world too, as the CEO of LexCorp. With his brilliantly designed warsuit, well, he has been able to fight against Superman countless different times. Originally created by Luthor to be a clone of Superman, because of his imperfect genetics, Bizarro is actually the opposite of Superman. Like while Superman has freeze breath and heat vision, Bizarro has freeze vision and heat breath. And no, yeah, everything about him is opposite. So his yeses mean no, and his friends are really his enemies. But still, even while being Superman's opposite, he's more than powerful enough to fight with Superman. He's strong enough to send a man flying to the sun with just one hit, and is tough enough to take all sorts of attacks from the Man of Steel himself. The leader of Warworld, Mongo is an alien dictator, and just thanks to his brutal and ruthless nature, well, you know he's going to be a villain for Superman. He's strong enough to shake the earth with each punch he throws. He's tough enough to take pretty much any attack with absolutely no injury. Mongo has always been a tough fight for Superman, and he'll always be one of the hardest villains for Superman to put down. Maybe Superman's most personal enemy, General Zod was a Kryptonian general who was exiled to the Phantom Zone. This actually allowed him to survive the destruction of Krypton, just like Superman. And ever since then, well, he's vowed to kill the son of Jor-El and destroy his adopted homeworld. And just like his subordinate Fyora, Zod has all the same powers as Superman and is a ruthless and powerful fighter. But Zod is almost on par with Superman himself when it comes to raw power, and is one of the best fighters in the universe. So he's been able to give Superman some of the hardest and toughest fights of his whole life. Hank Henshaw is Cyborg Superman, and his life's mission is to kill Superman, who he blames for the death of his wife. With his robotic cyborg body that's designed by Kryptonian technology and genetics, well, he definitely has enough power to do it. Cyborg Superman's body is strong enough to injure Superman with just one hit. He literally can't be killed because he can exist in all technology and not just in his cybernetic body. He's arguably one of the greatest technopaths in the universe. Cyborg Superman can take all the technology around him and incorporate it into himself, making himself even more powerful. The main man himself, Lobo, is the violent, motorcycle riding, cigar smoking, intergalactic bounty hunter. He was born on the planet Kazarnia, and as a high school science experiment, he decided to kill everything on the planet and every other member of his race. He gave himself an A on the assignment. He's incredibly strong, nearly an equal match for Supes himself, and has maybe the greatest healing factor in DC, allowing him to completely regenerate his whole body from just a single cell. On top of that, Lobo is so despised that he's been literally banned from both heaven and hell. So yeah, there's no killing or stopping this guy. Doomsday is famous for being the monster who killed Superman. And even though Superman eventually came back to life and they fought plenty of times since then, he'll always be near the top of Superman's most powerful rogues. A powerful and deadly Kryptonian monster, not only is Doomsday just as strong as Superman, but he has an amazing regenerative ability. Every time that he's been killed, he's able to come back to life, and he'll have evolved past the last thing that killed him, meaning that Doomsday is inching slower and slower towards true invulnerability as he makes his way through the cosmos. Brainiac might not be the most physically intimidating Superman villain, though he can definitely hold his own in a fight, but it's really his ability to conquer whole worlds and universes that makes him such an amazing threat. He's a super intelligent alien being from the planet Kolu, maybe the most intelligent being in the universe, and Brainiac is technology like no other. In fact, it's that intelligence and incredible tech that's allowed him to fight against and even beat Superman so many different times. He's easily one of Superman's most dangerous villains. Superboy Prime is the version of Kal-El from Earth Prime, a universe where all superheroes only exist in fiction. Well, all of them except for him. He's a twisted version of Superman and is impossibly more powerful than Superman 2. Superboy Prime is actually one of the most powerful and most dangerous beings in the entire multiverse. It takes whole superhero teams and multiple different versions of Superman to fight against him, to even begin to make it a fair fight. This guy is seriously powerful. Probably Superman's most intimidating foe, the villain who's pressed Superman more than anyone else, Darkseid is the Lord of Apocalypse, one of the biggest threats in the entire multiverse. He's pure hatred personified, a merciless tyrant who's hell-bent on bringing everything under his control as he seeks out the anti-life equation, all in order to completely remove free will from the universe. Him and Superman have fought plenty of different times throughout comics. Darkseid usually always manages to beat him up, but the crazy thing is that those are pretty much always just an avatar of Darkseid. Darkseid's true power and his true form is another beast altogether. Sure, Mr. Mix might be more a force of mischief than true outright villainy, but no doubt he's the most powerful being Superman's ever squared off against. A fifth-dimensional reality warping imp, Mr. Mxyzptlk's life mission is just to annoy and pester Superman until he's finally tricked into returning to his home dimension. But if Mr. Mix ever went crazy, or if all that power ever ended up in the wrong hands, well, it's enough power to completely rewrite the multiverse. But what do y'all think? Sound off in the comments down below. I know you're gonna have thoughts and feelings on this one for sure. If you stuck around this long and made it to the end of the video, that's amazing. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us. And if you want to go subscribe, well, go subscribe. You're going to see more videos like this one every single week. I'll see y'all then. I'll see y'all next time.